Hello. It is Thursday afternoon, the 20th of January 2022, and I have been reading out of Lydia, which is the follow-on of Bliss Afterlife, which I wrote in 2007 to 2017, and then I continued writing Lydia, who is a reincarnation of a man called Alexei, who was a Russian entrepreneur. The first book, Bliss Afterlife, is largely about Bliss and her passing after her 95th birthday, and we're following her into the afterlife, and we're following her family. We're now at chapter 31 of Lydia, and it is entitled Holly and Chris. Holly had to sit herself down in the kitchen after Tony told her of his impending fatherhood. He had been a little too short on the phone for her liking, but she understood that they were celebrating at the refuge, and she was glad that he took the time to ring her at all. She would be a grandma soon. She hugged herself. Chris would not be back for an hour. He was out with Faye, Ben and Lydia, and the grandparents. They had gone into town this morning when she was working. He would drop them at Bliss Place, where they all stayed until tomorrow. They had had a lovely time. She really liked Faye's parents. They were quiet, but she had got used to their accent, and there had been much laughter. Lydia was at the centre of much of their conversations, and now she would have a grandchild herself. He would be born at the end of 2012, early December, maybe even January. A winter baby, 2 babies in 1 year, so close together in age. In fact, their age difference would be about the same as Susan's and her. And Tony and Ben were close in age. Her thoughts were racing, and she was excited and anxious all at the same time. Could she tell Susan before Chris? She had to think about it. She had to talk about it. Before she knew what she was doing, she dialed Susan's number. Sue, guess what? She was laughing. She suddenly felt so happy that she knew exactly how Susan had felt when she'd heard the news. Holly, don't do that. Something good? She had just sat down. Davis was going to serve dinner, and she waved at him to wait. She had a feeling this was going to be interesting, and he came back to the table and sat down. I am going to be a grandma, probably before this year's over. No way. Wow, my God, I'm so happy for you, for all of you. When did you hear? How far? How far has Melanie gone? She was mouthing baby to David, but he could easily hear Holly's voice, and laughing out, he took her other hand, nodding. She had only just found out herself as she threw up this morning. She knows it's a little boy, and they already call him Milton. Holly was laughing. It all would sound too ridiculous if they had not all experienced Faye's pregnancy and Mio's appearance over the last few months. You know, it's amazing, but they will be as close together in age as we were. She suddenly felt herself welling up. She vaguely remembered scenes from her early childhood where they spent so much time together. Now they could be grandmothers together. She felt herself bursting with joy. We shall be doing grandmotherly things together. Oh my God, Holly, it was so lovely to have Lydia here with my Ben and Lydia, who is so happy to have her parents here. She almost seems a different person babbling on in Chinese. I hear them laugh and giggle, and Lydia is so good in settling into everybody's arms, smiling at all and sundry. And yesterday she was laughing. Confucius made her laugh, and it was so funny, the way he giggled with her. Everyone ended up falling about. Frida jumping up and down. Her bark is getting louder. And now you have this amazing news. Congratulations, all me to be, David shouted towards the phone. Susan had put her phone on loudspeaker. Holly knew anyway that she was with him at David's new house. You are so close to us. Why don't you come over here? Bring Frida and Chris. I cooked something for dinner. Susan was laughing. She couldn't wait to open a bottle of red with her sister and talk about babies at David's new place. Yes, that sounds great. Chris is due back in an hour, and Ben, Faye and company will make their way back to London tomorrow. We don't plan to see them and say our goodbyes for now here. I speak to Chris. I'm quite sure he's up for it. David has beer, I assume. She was laughing. She had not seen David's place, and suddenly she felt it was the perfect thing to do. Drive to the New Forest, stay the night. Susan had told her all about the space the house had, and she had wanted to see it for weeks. Great, lovely. I text you the address and instructions. She laughed. It was a little tucked away, and her sister got easily lost. She put the phone down after she had blown a kiss and hugged David. We better get going and see what else we have got. I put this lunch on hold, and make more of it. Do you fancy a slice of toast and tea for now? She could see that Sue hardly cared. He could see that Sue hardly cared. You're already planning grandma outings, don't you? They hugged. A little tidying up wouldn't go amiss, Susan thought, as there were still things to throw away and tidied away before she wanted to show her sister her new place, that new place. She smacked David's bum and got up. Sounds great. Yes, please. Shout when it's ready. I need to make the place beautiful. I'm glad we got so much done already. I'm so happy about these news. Come, put some music on. I want to dance. Chapter 32. Steve and Silvana. Steve had hardly been at home the last week. Silvana had a free week, and they decided to enjoy some time together, walking the dog, exploring restaurants and talking. They had started to make some music together in her studio. She had acquired some new instruments after her training, and they had been experimenting, mixing things with his guitar. Hours seemed to race by, and they spent much time doing what both loved, making music. They had sat down for dinner when he received David's text regarding the housewarming and the antique furniture in his new home. I'd love to go. I only ever met Holly and Chris briefly, but I think we get on. I hope it will be the same with Susan and David. Did he say when? No, I'll give him a ring later. We are free for the next 2 days. I wouldn't mind a drive to the New Forest. It's only around an hour or so along the coast. It would be great to see David again. Do you feel strange visiting my ex-wife? He suddenly wondered how he would feel meeting her ex-husband. He was not at all sure that he wanted to. No, had not thought about it, to be honest. She seemed very happy with David, and we're happy. She was smiling at him. I don't really like my ex's new wife. We have met a couple of times, but I really did not get on with her. She was watching me like a hawk and had her arm firmly linked with his. Poppy is not super keen on her either, but it seems her dad is happy enough, and she sees them occasionally. They have a son together now. He must be over 10 now. I don't really need the contact. She was laughing. He was glad that he did not have to think about meeting the ex. No time like the present. Let me ring David now. Then we can make plans for the weekend. Steve dialed his number and walked out into the garden to hear the birds. The music in the studio mingled with the outside sounds. It rang only once when he heard David's voice. Hi, Steve. That was quick. David was laughing and mouthing to Susan, but she could hear that Steve was on the other end. We were just sitting here and decided to ring straight away. We have a free weekend ahead, and I thought there's no time like the present. No problem, and actually a great idea. Chris and Holly are arriving here tonight already. And how about you come tomorrow afternoon? Susan nodded and thought that would give her enough time to chat with Holly beforehand. Yes, that sounds wonderful. Savannah is looking forward to it as much as I am. She has only met Holly and Chris briefly, and it will be fun to get together. I shall bring some drinks. Can you text me directions? I shall let you know when we set off. It probably takes an hour or so, maybe a bit more, but I will give you warning. Great, we make something to eat. Bring your guitar. David was laughing, and so was Steve. See you tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Steve took Savannah in his arms. She nuzzled her nose at the crook of his neck and felt happy to meet all these people who've had such a long history together. It will be interesting, she thought. Chapter 33. Faye and family. Chris had dropped them at Bliss House, and they were all exhausted, gathering in the living room. They'd had breakfast out. Confucius enjoyed a typical English breakfast, and Don Ying loved scrambled eggs on toast. They had had a lovely day exploring the town, walking along the beach, and Confucius thought the English seaside was quaint. It had taken lots of repeating and laughter to determine it was indeed quaint what he was saying. So he had them saying Chinese things, and it was their turn to laugh. Lydia was for once deep asleep in her cot, and they were all going to have tea when Ben's phone rang. Seeing it was Tony, he answered. All fell silent. "What's up?" He listened, and they saw his eyes widen. "Say that again, Tony. I put you on the loudspeaker." "Melanie is pregnant. We are going to have a little Milton before December, maybe, hopefully." Faye jumped up and laughed. "That's wonderful news. I love, love, love it." She rapidly spoke to her parents in Chinese. Don Ying clapped her hands, smiling. "That is very good news." Confucius was smiling too. He always looked wise, even when he uttered a few words only. He had a giggly laugh, and they all found themselves laughing. "Lydia will have a special close friend. I am so excited for you. We're traveling back tomorrow. How long are you going to be staying at the refuge?" Faye couldn't wait to see them all. "We have Peter here, and Melanie came up when she heard we were all coming. We shall stay till Monday morning, and we will see you tomorrow. I'm so happy." "I know the feeling. I see you tomorrow then." We set off after breakfast. "Have a lovely evening all." Ben put the phone down and took Faye in his arms. "Isn't that just the best news? I can hardly believe that Tony and I shall have little ones playing around together before long." He could hear Lydia crying. "Let me go get her. I shall tell her the news of her new impending friend, Milton." Trust Melody to know the sex and a name before she even has a round belly. So that was chapter 33, and today is the 20th of January 22, and I'm wishing you a good Thursday afternoon.